Right, this is the Mountain Bike Podcast presented by GMBN, and this time it's time for the first round of the Cross Country World Cup over in Albstadt in Germany, and I've got a co-host in this week, an expert in cross country, Oliver James Beckingsale. I've looked at your Wikipedia page, Ollie.
Cheers, mate.
So
Needs a bit of an update.
Yeah, so you raced World Cups for a long time.
Yep.
You raced Commonwealth Games, you raced 3 times the Olympic Games for the British team. What would you say is your result you're most proud of racing cross country?
Like I said, I did 3 Olympics, but probably my proudest is a couple of top 10s at World Champs.
Yeah.
So when I was racing, I did it 16 years full time, but I was a top 10 guy at best.
Yeah.
And actually, the World Champs is harder than the Olympics.
Right.
You know, it's a bigger field.
Yeah.
You've got 12 Swiss guys, not 3, that sort of stuff.
Okay, yeah, I never thought about that.
Yeah, so it's actually a tougher race.
Yeah.
Bizarrely. So I had 2 top 10s in my time. And a couple of Euro 6. So those, really racing with what I would call the big boys. I never put myself in that league with your Absalons and Sousers.
Yeah.
But on those days, I was with them in the right
And those
group.
are the guys that were winning back.
They were winning back then, yeah, they were the boys. So I was, I could get in the mix with them on a good day. And,
Nice.
top 10, a World Cup sort of race was my thing.
Yeah, serious results. So what have you been doing since you retired from racing?
So I stopped racing 6 years ago now. I tried to go to London Olympics. That didn't happen. I had a really bad injury a year before.
Right.
So that kind of took me out. But I kept racing for a couple of years afterwards.
Yeah.
I wasn't done quite yet.
Yeah.
So I got back, did that for a little bit. And then since then, got a bike shop in Bristol, BW Cycling. And then I've got a coaching business as well. So a bit of both.
Yeah, it's cool.
So,
I've been over there, of course. I came to
got you ready for your Endure.
Yeah, I have to
Enduro
apologise
World
about that. I didn't do the work that I was prescribed, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
But
we
it's
found
good
out where you're at, didn't we?
Yeah, not as good as I used to be. So yeah, it's a bit of an not unusual, but different to a lot of bike shops where you've got training that takes place at the same place. You can bring your bike along, get that fixed, but also get some proper, work from you guys there.
Yeah, it's a bit different. Like I say, it's more of a cycling centre, we call it. We do everything,
Okay,
road, mountain bike, triathlon, bit of all sorts, really.
And you've been racing half Ironmans recently.
Oh, God, don't remind me of that. It's bloody awful. But yeah, the bit of that, I keep my, I don't want to race mountain bikes again properly. But
Yeah.
I still, I did a cross race in the winter. Or I got a 2-day gravel race, Grit
Nice.
Fest in my last month. So just keep fit and means I can drink a bit of wine on the weekends.
Is that, you don't want to race mountain bikes? Is that because you feel like it's never going to be as good as it was?
Yeah, no, I can do other things. And
Yeah.
I kind of can hide a little bit. I don't mind taking a kicking.
Yeah.
Basically my whole career I got my head kicked in every weekend, so I don't mind it now.
Lots of similarities between me and you.
Yeah, we're pretty much the same, right? Just different disciplines.
Yeah, I was sort of top 10 on my very good days, but few and far between. And now I don't mind. I'll race mountain bike stuff because I know I could do it. I used to be able to do it, and now I don't mind getting beaten, to be honest.
Yeah.
My pride has disappeared a long time
No,
ago.
I'm okay with the pride bit, but it's just nice doing a good job. And mountain bike, cross country racing is so harsh.
Yeah.
You're right on your threshold for an hour and a half, and
Yeah.
if you're not on it, fitness-wise, it's actually not a lot of fun. So-
And has it's got a bit shorter, has it, since you raced? Or was it always
Massive
been-
changes. Yeah, really, really big. So we go, it's only, if we look at Olympics, for example, 2008 was Beijing. We were racing, the winner was 2.25 hours.
Really?
Big
Yeah.
lap. I mean, it was getting more technical then.
Yeah.
But it used to be kind of 25-minute laps with a couple of technical features.
Yeah.
And because you've got a bigger lap, you've got bigger climbs.
Yeah.
Now it's got smaller laps, smaller climbs, more tech.
Yep.
So the days when, I mean, for me, it changed for the worse, personally.
Right, yeah.
Not an opinion, but for me as a rider.
Yeah.
So I was a climber. I'm a mountain biking climber. So big, long climbs.
Yeah, okay.
I wasn't the best in the field technically. So a couple of tech sections and big climbs is cool. When it started going really tech, but short climbs, I was at a disadvantage. And guys like your shooters and Jan Antonio Hermida,
Yeah.
those boys were then, they're uphill sprinters, mega on the tech. It's better for them.
Big riders now. You see, look at someone like
Yeah.
Schurter, Vanderpool's a big guy, but like all muscly, big, strong riders, I think, compared to...
Yeah, they're more
what we see.
athletic. So
Yeah.
before they used to look like road riders, less
right.
upper body and, they had core but no arms really. Now these guys can, they look pretty strong.
So Albstadt, there was a bit of chat coming in. Anton Cooper had put on his Instagram about them mellowing out the course, putting lots of hard pat, making it wider. And there was some of that, but watching the race on Sunday, especially when the men's race kicked off and then the rain happened, it still looked pretty technical to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's steep hillsides on that course. It's one of the steeper one more of the more climbing-y courses and the steep climbs. So you've got steep fall line descents as well.
Yeah, right.
And last year they had a lot of problems, people trying to get around. So it became a bit more bike park orientated, and that's what the people were moaning about. But yeah, no, it obviously rained cross-country day and caused a bit of chaos.
So did you have any, who would be your favourites coming into the season, men and women?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of talk. The big talk, Nino Schutter's been so dominant for so long.
Yeah.
And not just dominant, it's on a variety of courses, which I think is what makes him so amazing, really.
Yeah.
And then obviously Andre van der Poel, Matthew van der Poel, getting confused with his dad. With Matthew van der Poel, he's unbelievable.
He's had a really strong, I would say pre-season, but it's not really pre-season.
He won a road classic. There's not many guys that do that or ever done. Well, no one's ever done that.
I think Warner said 30-something cross wins this year alone.
Yeah, so he's had his best cross season.
Okay.
And then while most guys now are sitting on a beach, he's decided to then race half a road season before he starts racing a mountain bike season. And that road season, he was winning, the biggest races in the world. So,
there was a bit of kerfuffle from the roadies saying, right, it's time to give up on the mountain biking and go road full time. Yeah. And it's great to see from my perspective as a mountain biker, see him go, no, I'm racing mountain bikes.
Yeah, I think it's great that he's doing all three. He's got a big, from what I read, Tokyo is a big thing for him, and he's, and he wants to get an Olympic gold.
Yeah.
And he's seen that he's identified it in the mountain bike. That's his opportunity to do it. And obviously the road has far more variables than cross riding. And cross riding is not in a mountain bike. There's too many. He can guarantee if he's on good shape, he's got a good chance of winning. There's less team support, for example. So, but yeah, no, he's giving it a good shot, and I think it adds. He's a guy that won one of the biggest road races in the world a month ago.
Yeah,
but he didn't win on Sunday.
Wow. So we'll get to that, but it does bring a lot of eyes, maybe from the road world to the mountain bike world as well.
Yeah, I think it's. I think in general, a lot of guys have maybe looked down on mountain bike. Cross country a little bit, from a fitness point of view, and road is the biggest sport. The Tour de France is the pinnacle of kind of fitness cycling. So they've maybe looked down. I think it puts it into perspective at the bit that these guys are world class and could compete on. They're as good as he shows that he's cross mountain bike road. If you're going to win in one of those, you could win in another.
We've seen Langvad and Jolanda Neff on the road as well.
Yeah, and Matthias Flukinger. He did a Tour of Romandie World Tour race for Swiss team. That was a week stage race a few weeks ago.
Right.
But mountain bikers have always done road racing, not to the same degree as Van der Poel, but have always raced on the road.
We've seen, people go to the road. People like Cadell Evans stands out. We'll get into the results in a minute, but it's interesting to see how the road worked for some riders, maybe not for others in the pre-season. But some big team changes before this year. Kate Courtney went over to join that Scott SRAM team, super strong team this year with Lars Foster and Nino coming off their Cape Epic win. Jolanda Neff moved over to Trek Factory, a really strong women's team there, Emily Batty.
Yeah, it's a surprise, that one,
Lars Foster, Scott SRAM, Florian Vogel went over to KMC Ecoy Orbea, and the under-23 world champ Alan Hatherley joined Specialised. It's a few big
changes at the top.
Did you see, actually, Bart Brench's team, the CSD Sound, is sponsored by Bafang, an e-bike motor. I thought that was unusual.
Yeah, I think he's been racing a few.
Right.
Yeah. Bart's getting a little old, so maybe he needs a bit of help. He'll kick my ass when he sees me.
Yeah, right. Interesting, we've got the short track on the Friday and the big XCO race on the Sunday, but you have to ride the same bike.
Yeah.
So we saw full suspension bikes, Langvad rode one. Most other people were on hardtails, especially in the women's, actually.
It was, yeah.
Jordan Saru was riding that BMC full suspension bike, the 4-stroke. Saw drop post, we saw Neff, Jolanda Neff and
loads of droppers.
Kate Courtney, both running those SRAM Access wireless posts.
Yeah.
Flukinger as well, Matthias Flukinger using one. So it was tale of two races, definitely, the weekend. Sort of short track, nice and pretty dry and fast, obviously 20-minute short laps, and then Sunday, carnage for the men's race at least. Yeah,
but like I say, the steep climbs in the event, it kind of, it's a temptation to go hardtail again.
Yeah.
And then obviously the short track is generally, if you're going to pick a bike, you'd always go hardtail given the choice, I think.
Right, okay. Injuries pre-season. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. She was racing, but she had surgery in January, so obviously,
Yeah, pretty amazing to be back.
Yeah,
And in the mix for a decent place.
Yeah.
Considering what she's had in the winter. So.
Maya Wojlowska was sick, not racing. Alessandra Keller, did you see that? She crashed with Yolanda Neff. Was it a couple of weeks ago and broke both her wrists?
Oh yeah.
Actually, on Instagram, blamed Neff for it.
Oh.
I think Neff said it was a poor course design that meant they came together in a corner. But yeah. Interesting to see that. Sam Gaze has been trying to get ready for season, but he had that crash at Cape Epic, so has pulled the plug on the first World Cups at least, he says.
Yeah.
Was that you saying it was a?
I think it was a concussion. I heard, yeah, in Cape Epic. So that's a kind of. I'm sure you've had one, as have I. And
yeah.
You can't rush these things, and it takes as long as it takes. So.
Funny injuries. I know I slept a lot after the last big concussion I had, so I definitely wouldn't be in any shape for racing.
Yeah, me neither.
Albstadt as well is the venue for the next year's World Champs. So interesting to see how these results maybe could tell us what's going to go on next year. The weather, it was cold and dry for the short track, but the wet weather was really forecast, and it did rain heavily before Sunday and then rained heavily during the men's race. Previous winners last year, XCC was Anneke Langvad, who pretty much won all of them actually.
Yeah.
Matthew Van der Poel, and then Yolanda Neff won the XCO, and Nino Schurter XCO last year.
Yeah.
Pre-season, Langvad had been racing some road as well, as we said.
Yeah.
And Neff, said that already. Okay, so on to the short track. 20-minute race, 8 short laps, not much climbing.
No, just a couple of kicks, wasn't it? So pretty fast circuit.
So it gives you a start placement on the first. If what was it, the top? You get the first 2 rows for XCO are determined by.
Yeah.
Does that make a big difference on
Huge.
Sunday?
Yeah. And that's made a bigger difference. We mentioned before about the courses getting a little shorter, so it's got more intense. So there's more single track involved, and the gridding is massive. I mean, you can sometimes take, as a younger rider, or if you've had a bad injury, it can sometimes take you 2 seasons to work back to a gridding.
Wow.
And if you don't get that gridding in place, if you're going to be in any mix for a podium, top 3 rows, I mean, even if 20th, 30th back, you waste so much energy. You get around the first lap, time down.
Yeah.
But it's the energy you have to get to move forward, constant acceleration, so you're losing out all the time.
There was 140 men actually in the XCO race in the Sunday.
Yeah.
On that start lap, it was strung out, like probably a couple hundred metres just on that first grassy bit.
Yeah.
So short track, women's, I'm guessing, Langvad would always be the favourite for that. With Keller was the only other person to win one last year in the women's, and she was not racing with 2 broken wrists, of course. But Neff went hard early on with Sterneman, Courtney, Benko and Brandau. Langvad at the back of the group. There's a group of maybe 15 for 6 laps. And it sort of split into a couple of groups, and we saw a lot of drafting. Does that help on the short track?
On the short track, massively, yeah. Obviously you're saving energy by draft, but it's just that bit of recovery.
Right.
So on that course, you went down a long start-finish straight, where if you sat in the wheels of a group there, you've maybe got 20, 30 seconds where you're below your threshold or working hard.
Okay, yeah.
And then when you kick into that next climb, you're then turning it into easy and hard, almost like an interval session.
Right.
Whereas if you're going the whole way down, it's almost like you're going to be producing a time trial effort. So you're going to go slower overall. So there's a lot of tactics in that one.
Burning up. Pretty fast downhill section as well. So not exactly places to recover, but also technical enough. That
it looks slightly less technical than some of the ones I've saw last year. So actually you could just sit in for a bit, whereas with more tech, you want to get closer to the front a bit, really.
Right, yeah. So there's a high pace from Brandau. Neff took the lead after the tarmac, and then Courtney went. Neff, did you see Neff try that different line coming down the hill, but sort of messed it up a little bit, and that left Kate Courtney take the win? Yeah,
Courtney looked smooth, confident. Yeah, just nailed it, really.
Really strong.
Yeah. Neff, it's her riding style. She spins a high gear, and she's pretty dynamic on the bike, but she looked more stressed all race, whereas Courtney just sat there, and it looked like she'd been, considering it's the first one she's won. Yeah, but she was riding like someone that's won 20 of them.
She's wearing those rainbow stripes. It seems to definitely, she's turned it on this year.
Yeah, without a
doubt. So Kate Courtney, Scott Thram, took those 125 points. So big points as well for the overall. It's half as many points as the XCO, but still that is going to seriously add up.
I think obviously the guys, the UCI have giving it a lot of points for make everyone take it seriously.
Yeah.
You know, they've tried this thing before with trying to get a gridding race. So years ago, they tried we had to do a time trial the day before.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and then they need to make it a serious thing. Otherwise, in the same way, seeding for downhill, if you make it big enough with enough points, then...
And from a spectator's point of view, I love it. It's great to have
it's mint,
Friday afternoon. I can go home and watch a really good race. It's only 20 minutes long, but a really exciting race. But is that enough time for them to recover from the Friday to the Sunday?
It's not ideal for none of them that they want. You know, if you ask them, like, would you like to do it? You know, they're not in a rush. You know, I don't think it suits anyone's preparation.
But they're not really able to hold back on it, because if you're looking for the overall, you've got to be in there.
I think there's some guys that are riding it smart.
Right, okay.
You know, so some guys want to win it. You know, if you're going for the overall, you've got to fight out. But there's some guys, you know, you maybe see Matthias Flukinger, he was happy, you know, if I'm going to get a front row start, then I can back off a little bit. And that you could maybe ride for a position, not for a win, I think, if you had good enough legs.
Right. Jolanden F second, Trek Factory Racing. Katrin Sternemann third, Thomas RN Swiss Bike Team. Linda Indegand fourth, Superior Team. And Langvad fifth. She actually got dropped on the sprint, I noticed it. And that's the first time
she was swinging a bit, wasn't she? So
unusual to see, probably the strongest female racer.
Yeah, probably signs that maybe, I don't know, maybe wasn't feeling great or health or something.
Yeah. On to the men's race. Nino's never won a short track race so far.
Oh, well.
Steve Vanderpool, there's different start this year, so that it's like Formula One. It's a red light that turns to green, and he was waiting for a gun and apparently completely missed the start and had to work quite hard.
Amateur.
He's thinking what he's doing by now. Avancini went hard, as did Nino. Cape Epic rivals, actually. I seem to remember there being a bit of chat on Instagram between the two at Cape Epic. I can't remember what it was, but no love lost, I don't think, between those two. The race got strung out a little bit. Vanderpool moved up and then attacked on lap 7, Nino responding, and Avancini actually. It was a group of 3.
When he went?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Full turbo when he went then.
Yeah, they regrouped on the last lap, and then Lars Foster onto the lead on the last climb, went hard on the downhill. Vanderpool then sprinted to catch back up, take the win.
Yeah.
You thought, when it comes down to a sprint, is there anyone going to beat Vanderpool?
Not anyone that can ride that fast for 20 minutes.
Yeah, serious racing. And then Lars Foster came second on Scott's Ram, of course.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah, definitely. He's obviously had a really strong pre-season. Nino third, Maxim Rott and Henrik Amtini, the two Candel teammates, fourth and fifth for XCC. Get some good points then. So on to Sunday, XCO race. It's a 4 kilometre race, or 4.1. They're all about that now, I think. Aren't they?
Yeah, short laps, yeah.
And they said it was course for climbers, so 2 decent-sized climbs on that.
Yeah, and steep too. It's pretty rare you see these guys in their first gears these days. And they were in it. So
yeah, fast track, short recovery time, rocky in bits, wide and hard pack. There was that climb with the 2 lines on. We saw a few people taking different routes up there, actually. And the North Shore, which for me looked okay in the dry, but when it came to the men's race in the afternoon, it started to look super sketchy.
Yeah, and you could see there was quite a big gap on the sides. So on the climb, there was one there where you came up a forest track, swung onto it.
Yeah.
But you could see whether there was almost like 10, 20 centimetres in places of a gap between the wood and then the chicken wire in the middle.
Yeah.
And if you caught that, it was slick as you like.
A lot of people spinning up.
Yeah, especially when you're getting tired. You know, you've just done a big threshold climb before it, so you're not quite on the ball. Then you hop up, and it all looks basic until you're breathing really hard. And then all these things become
I looked surprisingly techie, actually. In the men's race, there was someone messed it up, and then there's 10 people having to get off their bikes almost to get up it. And it was pretty decisive, I think, in the women's race. Well, Kate Courtney went out hard from the start.
Yeah.
She did crash on that North Shore, actually.
Hard, yeah.
So there was like that one bit where it was a right-hand corner, and it was a North Shore turn that had a drop-off to dirt halfway through.
Yeah, you had to literally swing it.
Yeah.
Drop off, swing it. It was,
you landed an F. Crashed, actually. I missed that one, didn't see that.
That was on the kind of first descent.
Okay.
The kind of, slick, fast one.
Yeah.
Where Flukinger crashed last year. It was just a corner before.
Right, okay.
But she was dropped by Courtney on the climb.
Yeah.
So she was taking risks.
Jolanden F, she looked really good on the downhills, dropping that post and going fast, but ultimately not fast enough, really.
Yeah, she was better once she got dropped. It's like, when you're trying to go across country, if you're under pressure on the climbs, you then trying too hard on the descents to get, close 4 or 5 meters. And that's when you just make some stupid mistakes. Sometimes you're better off just being in your own rhythm.
Antaiba, she was running second, had a big crash, looked painful.
Yeah, same place as Courtney.
Yeah.
But went down, properly rolled over. Yeah, she was lucky to not break a bike. 'Cause that took a fair few bounces before it stopped.
Yeah, and I don't want to say it ruined her race, but she was looking good for second place, and she dropped. Yeah,
I think she was
fourth,
blowing a bit. Hence why you're more likely to have a crash. But it took her out of her rhythm really. So it was a shame.
But there was no beating Kate Courtney. Looked really strong.
Oh,
a 1-1 at the first round of the year. Her best result last year. Well, it was her first elite year last year. I think it was 7th of her best result.
So her world champs result. Yeah. It was completely different race to how she won yesterday.
Right.
So when she won the Worlds last year, she was an underdog. No one expected that. Yeah. And she came through later in the race and was almost surprised herself. The race yesterday, she was completely in control of that. She had one off. Yeah. Which happens, but she was on it the whole race, super controlled, smooth. I
saw a funny thing on Instagram actually. She put something up saying "perfect doesn't have to mean perfect," and just covered in mud and all. So I was like, "It's true. You can still win a race and crash." And
she had the gap. But on the climbs, and it's things like because she had a nice gap and she was in control. She had her pace, her lines down the start-finish straight. She wasn't chasing. She had time to have a little snack, and everything was just all super smooth.
Yeah, really powerful. Yolanda Neff did finish second for Trek. Jana Balamoina worked really hard to come up to third.
Yeah, she came up back strong, hey?
Yeah, Anataiba dropped down to fourth then, and Terpstra, Ghost was on Ghost Factory Racing was fifth.
Yeah.
Anneke Langvad did not finish. Annie Last did not finish. I think she was speaking to her brother in the office. She had quite a good result on short track. I think she was 11th, and then was sick on Sunday, so unfortunately. Did not finish.
And then Emily Batty, she was
28th.
Yeah, she had on the short track. She was off the pace, which is rare. She's one of the favourites probably for podiums each week. She was off the pace in the short track, and then in the race itself. And then that's partly if you have she was a victim of, like I say, bad short track, bad gridding. Okay. You're on the back foot already.
Yeah,
so a poor race for her.
Yeah, and then we've got the next round is next weekend, so. Potentially, if Annie's sick, that's not going to work. It's not got long. You race XC on a Sunday, you got to race the next XCC on the Friday, and you got to get to Czech Republic.
It's a tough turnaround, and you got recce, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
it's a really tough turnaround.
So
back-to-back World Cups.
Monday you'll be doing a recovery ride. Well, or you'll be travelling, I suppose.
Yeah, travelling, recovery ride. Most guys will ride for a couple of hours at least.
And then practice is probably, when's that start? Wednesday or Thursday?
I think most people would probably stay off till Thursday.
Okay.
So you do I would do my main practice Thursday. Yeah. Short track Friday is a bit of a opener for the week. So at least you can add that in. You want something to get yourself at race speed again.
Okay.
So you use that as that, and then Saturday you got to recover really. Your legs are going to be pretty sore. So a lap, and a bit of road maybe.
It was good to see the Red Bull coverage again. Has been brilliant, as has been for Daniel. But they did I think they called it a chatter show, and they had all the big riders there. It was good.
It was really cool.
Yeah, good to see.
They've gone up a notch this year. The coverage was amazing. Yeah.
Okay, so on to the men's race. Did you see the start?
Oh, yeah.
It's super hard. It was really impressive. Nino and Matthew van der Poel, gaps appeared all over the place actually on that.
Oh yeah, on the start leg there was gaps. I mean, it's like only a quarter of a climb, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And everyone was in bits already.
Yeah. And it started to rain a little bit, and the North Shore, to me, there was all the chat before the race about how mellow the track may have got, and the North Shore, to me, looked horrible, to be honest, sketchy. And
and it was better, it was slippier for the women's. Obviously it rained big time lap 1.
Yeah.
And that made it better. We've all...
That's the thing,
we've all raced before, if it's going to rain, you want it to rain,
They talked about it on Red Bull as well, actually. And you could see the riders getting muddier and then getting cleaner as the rain washed the track off. Clear almost. And got grippier. So Nino hasn't had a good pre-season compared to what we'd expect from Nino, especially in the rain. Some of those the Swiss races have been really wet, and he's struggled.
He had a good one, the Swiss Cup the week before. Yeah, that's a hilly circuit, or reasonably hilly circuit. That, but he had a battle with Mateusz Flukinger last week and won that one, but it was close.
Yeah. Lars Foster has had a good pre-season as well, actually, and he was up to second in the race. And then it looked like they were doing a team time trial for a little while, Nino and Lars. It looked sort of, for me, I was like, well, that's it. The race is done. Those boys
Go
are
get
working.
a cup of tea, yeah.
Yeah. But obviously, it was super early in the race, but they were teammates at Cape Epic and they were doing that all over again.
Yeah.
And do you think that really helps on the XCO race as well? Sort of slipstreaming and then just taking it into
I mean, on that course, there's patches of slipstreaming, especially down the start finish.
Yeah.
But the main thing is just that momentum of one's pushing another, and you're working together, and you do that as more with a teammate, but you still do it anyway. If you had a good gap, you'd communicate. If it was Flukinger and Shooter off the front, if they knew they had Van der Poel on the ropes and a gap, they'd communicate. They'd then be like, right, we got to work together on this.
Literally sort of flicking the elbow or saying, go on.
Talk about it. Yeah, we got a gap. Let's get him out. Let's get him done. And then we'll race against ourselves later.
Okay, yeah. Did you see Van der Poel was leading the chasing group and looking over his shoulder a bit for help, and he did get it eventually, but...
Well, he looks, I mean, we saw the last couple of years, Nino Shooter going off like he's doing a short track on the first lap. Absolutely, smashing it tomorrow. And thinking he's not going to keep that going, but he does.
Yeah.
But that's what he tried with the same sort of tactics. Van der Poel tried to follow, but didn't have it. So then, I think he gassed himself a bit. Yeah.
Do you think Foster eventually crashed? It was a simple corner, but super wet, of course, and just little crash, twisted his bars up. And then that was sort of the plan seemed to fall apart from there on, really, for those two boys.
Yeah, definitely. I think, tyre choice obviously makes a big difference, and people would have, round there as well, especially, people would have been rolling the dice with tyre choice.
Yeah.
So the drag makes a big difference. But it's funny when you get that, especially cross country on those climbs, sometimes you can go a bit too knobbly. Yeah. And if it's not slick enough, the knobbles just end up sticking into the floor and are dead slow.
It's a difficult one to predict, really, isn't it? Because, you're then, it's rolling resistance versus grip. What do you need? And you don't know what the mud's going to be like, really, until it rained super hard for actually most of the race, and then the sun came out, and that can really mess things up again.
They had 3 different conditions during that race. Yeah. And therefore, you'd probably pick 3 different tyres at different laps. You know?
So Foster crashed. Flukinger then overtook him. Van der Poel, 12th on lap 1. So have you raced in conditions like that, Ollie? Like when it's really bad? Because I didn't know, some of the riders...
We've had it, I mean, Leger's World Cup this year. We had one there, awful. And again, but it's when it changes, and especially when it's drying out. So it rained a lot that night, and then it was drying. They'll get some feedback from the women's race. Some of them even go and get a lap in before their race. Right. Just to try and really get the conditions nailed. And then, but you're going, a lot of them would have gone, well, I might put something grippy on the front, but gone for low tread on the back, thinking it was going to continue to dry out. And then, of course, when it flew down, the rain just came, and then you'd be scuppered, really. Yeah.
What I find interesting, I know they try and make everything as light as possible, but like those little mud guards, I've got one, the little flap that goes underneath your crown and your foot.
Yeah.
I think, especially when they're dumping their glasses because it's too wet to run, I think that could make quite a big difference to how well you could see in those races, especially if you're on a group following.
Yeah, I'd be surprised guys weren't using that, to be honest.
Yeah. Do you think, what about full suspension? Do you think that'd help out in the mud?
I think when it's slippery like that, not so much. I think, it's grip. I mean, the dropper, you see a lot of hardtails to drop a post around there.
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty good combination for that sort of climb. And especially with the dropper post getting lighter, I think you'll see more and more of them now.
Jordan Sarrou, actually, a young French rider, was up at the front end of the race on the full suspension bike, BMC. I thought Flukinger's bike looked really small, actually. Looked super upright riding that bike compared to
he's got weird position. He's dead upright.
Yeah.
And he's a little guy anyway. Yeah. But he rode awesome race.
So eventually they started to drop Nino. Really surprising to see that. Lars Foster crashed again. Bars completely twisted.
Yeah, he couldn't stay upright after a while, could he?
Yeah. And then it eventually had another big one, actually. Did not finish.
It was funny. It was that type of course where you get it when you have one little off, then you're tight. It was that sort of like slippery and that North Shore stuff. If you're tight, then the chance of going again in the next lap is pretty high, I think.
Grip's probably covered in mud, bars twisted. It's not a good combo, is it?
But you're just riding a bit scared.
Sore legs, sore knees from landing on them, and then you've got to crack on again. Pretty difficult. We saw Amtini come in for a front wheel change. I believe that was a puncture. Anton Cooper as well, his race was pretty much ruined. Two front
Yeah, there was a few
punches.
flaps, wasn't there?
And then it was really Flukinger and Saru really up to the front of the race.
Yeah.
Working together. Eventually, Van der Poel sort of worked his way up to third. Florian Vogel, the veteran, up to fourth.
Yeah, he did a great ride. Yeah, really solid. And he was pushing on the front of that chase group for quite a while. He rode a really solid race then.
Yeah, and then Nino was in that little group as well.
Yeah.
And to be honest, then I was thinking, I was expecting Nino to be fourth. The best of the rest, really, of Vogel, Caro, Marot and Indegand. It didn't turn out like that.
Yeah. No, he didn't look, whether it was a weather conditions or a tyre thing, but yeah, he was looking, for him, average. He looked like everyone else in the group,
Yeah.
His first lap looked like the old Nino, the really, really strong Nino and confident, but yeah, no,
Exactly.
It was
I wonder if he went too hard as well on that very first sort of attack with what's his face, Foster, and if he paid the price for doing that.
Yeah, I mean, they look, when I first saw those guys racing yesterday, but when, the first time you saw Nino doing that in a World Cup, you're like, nah, this ain't going to work. You can't do 6-7 laps with a start like that. But you can hold it.
Yeah.
But yeah, not yesterday.
So there you go. Matthias Flukiger took the win for Thomas RN Swiss Bike team. His first World Cup win was last year at Mont Saint Anne, but he did have that massive crash just 2 years ago at Albstadt. I remember that one well. So
on the fast section, yeah. And it's fast and steep, yeah.
Right. Redemption for that. It took the win. Matthew Van der Poel hunted down Saru, took second place for Corridon Circus, riding that canyon. Yeah, Jordan Saru third for Absolute Absalom. Titouan Caro, BMC, a guy that I raced last winter. Impressive riding skills. He smoked me as you'd expect, but it was good to actually go ride with him and see just how good those top cross-country races are.
Yeah, these new guys coming in, French guys, Swiss guys.
Yeah.
They're no slouches.
Florian Vogel, the old guy, KMC Eco Orbea in fifth place. Nino sixth. Also talking about, obviously, Tokyo Olympics next year. We've got a lot of Swiss riders there that are trying to qualify for that Olympic team. It's got to be super difficult.
Yeah, there's loads of them. So, yeah, and they'll have free spots. So you've got to get all those, 8, 9 guys that can podium down to 3 places. Yeah, it's
and they're doing that this year, we think. It must be.
Yeah, I read that they were doing it this election is this year.
Yeah, Van der Poel actually said something about it on his Instagram as well, saying that he's happy that he's qualified already for Tokyo. Not so many strong Belgian riders, I guess, as Swiss and French. A lot of good French riders.
Yeah, French are having a good resurgence at the moment. They had a couple of strong guys, but then there was a gap to everybody else. But they've got a real bit of strength and depth now.
Yeah, some young riders coming through. Obviously, Absalon retired.
Yeah,
but some young boys there. Yaroslav Kalavi did not finish.
Yeah, he seems to have drifted off since London.
Yeah,
he's I know it's a long time ago now.
Yeah,
no, he hasn't been quite how he was those couple of years. So
right, he's on his own team as well, I think, this year, not on the main specialised team.
Yeah,
maybe he's going towards the end of his career, I suppose. So looking at the overall, Kate Courtney, a 1-1, taking full 375 points. Yolanda Neff, 2-2, 300 points. So that's pretty big already, 75 points. Anne Tauber, third place. Chloe Woodruff, actually, fourth. Jana Bellamoina, fifth overall. The men's, Matthew Van der Poel, actually, is leading, just ahead of Matthias Flukiger. So Flukiger got 8th in the short track.
Yeah, smart ride, see?
Yeah.
Row.
Lost a few points there. Nino in third, 210 points. So compared to 325 and 305, those front two. Maxim Marot fourth and Jordan Saru fifth. We've got round 2 next week, Nova Mesto. What's that course like?
Oh, completely different. It's chalk and cheese really to the race that's just gone. So short, steep climbs, but supernatural. There's, I say supernatural, they've added more and more rock features recently. Yeah. But a lot of climbs, a lot of routes. There's very little kind of forest, other than going through the stadium at the start. There's a lot of forest road through there, and then it's rooty climbs, steep, short kicks. Yeah, right. And a lot of technical descending. Some natural, and some like big rock gardens. That are rideable, obviously, but it's one of those things again when you've just done a climb or it's the last lap, and you're just starting to kind of blow up a bit, and you're not thinking quite straight. They're the sort of ones that can really cash you out. So who've we, obviously it's great to see the first race of the year to see what form people are in, but as far as sort of the best technical riders,
What do you think? Landon F looks really good at the moment.
Yeah, she was one. And again, we said about the coverage being really good. They had some great little splits that were popping up.
Yeah.
And showing the climbs, but also the descents. And she was generally taking 4 or 5 seconds out of Courtney on each descent and then losing it on the climb.
It makes you wonder if maybe Courtney's going a bit steady because she's had a
she was in control.
Lead. Yeah.
But yeah, Neff's going good. Fluckinger is generally known as, he's a good descender. Bit sketch sometimes.
Yeah, big crashes.
Yeah, I mean, but you saw earlier on, Shooter was using his descending skills as well.
Yeah,
he's awesome on the descent.
He
obviously.
is really good. Yeah,
but he was getting dropped on the climbs early doors, but getting back on the descents each time.
Yeah. So what about Nino? Did you see the pre-show that Warner and Bart did on Red Bull? He's saying that, Warner was asking Nino about his main rivals for the year, and he's saying that, there's people that could win a couple of races, like Mattis Flukinger.
Yeah.
Maybe wasn't so worried about the overall.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Flukinger's won that race and is looking pretty good for the overall, whereas Nino only came 6th, which isn't that good for the overall.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to ask him the question now, eh?
Yeah. I mean, you can never count out Nino, of course, but apparently there were questions about his form coming into the season, and it's not looking great at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, and the race is coming up as well. The next races are kind of one-off, really. There's nothing else quite like Nova Mesto, I think.
Okay.
But then you're into a run of races that are altitude or medium altitude, and depending on how they set the courses out, but they all should be pretty climby.
Well, Andorra's the round after that, which is pretty high up. Who was it? Kirschbaum, I think, had a good ride.
Yes, of course, he didn't have a great ride on the weekend. He was on the back foot, like Emily Batty a little bit, really.
Yeah, I'm trying to look
down
the results.
Maybe something like that. He had a slow, a poor short track.
Yeah.
And then that leads to a poor gridding. So you stood on some of the climbs. So you've lost a minute on lap 1, but you've lost that, let's say, that momentum.
Yeah, absolutely.
You try and get past people that are also trying to race and not letting you through, and then you get pissed off, and then you end up fighting. All this is wasting energy, which means when the track does clear, you're actually a bit more tired than you would have been.
Yeah, difficult. So that was Nino's worst result for a long time, really. He did have a mechanical last year, so dropped him. But
yeah, for a clean race, essentially, he was off the pace.
Yeah, it was really good last year, of course. Matthews Flukinger beat the hottest name in cycling right now, Matthew van der Poel, of course. He's got all the, not hype, you can't call it hype, but all the buzz around him because he has been so good. So for him to beat Van der Poel and Nino must feel pretty good. Yeah,
but then you look at there's obviously climbing in that race, but it's steep climbing. Yeah. And you look at the size between the two guys. Right. Van der Poel's not a pure climber. He's an all-rounder, I would have said.
Yeah.
He's a big boy. So, on the really steep climbs, I think, when it's something like next week, which is more power-orientated,
okay, it
would probably suit him more.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. And Kate Courtney's just looking super strong. I mean,
she smashed it.
Yeah. Again, her best was 8th last year, so coming into this season, she's obviously done a lot of work.
Yeah, I read as well that one of the reasons for the change is, you never know what happens with contracts and cash and all that sort of stuff. But one of her main changes was she said she wanted to be in Europe and work with Frischknecht and be alongside Shooter and guys like that.
Yeah, so the team manager is Thomas Frischknecht.
Yeah.
Obviously, a huge amount of experience.
Absolute hitter, yeah.
His son did quite well, actually.
Yeah, first time in the top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been a kind of 20th sort of guy for the last year. I mean, he's a young boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, for him to ride a top 10 round there yesterday was, that's a real big step.
They were talking about it when Lars, Foster and Nino were out front and he was in the group behind, how he wouldn't work with them, obviously, to try and chase down those guys. I guess he'd just sit in and try and
sit in, being smooth. Yeah, it takes and I think the pressure's on to some extent because of his name, Yeah,
absolutely.
But then the pressure's off in the fact that he's not the key guy on the team. Yeah. It's the Nina Shooter roadshow, and then he's just one of the guys there, so there's a bit less pressure in that respect.
We've seen it a bit, actually. Was it the Cape Epic last year where there was like an A and a B team for Scots Ram, and they worked together really to sort of, they won it as well last year, Nino and his partner. I can't remember who it was last year. But it's funny, maybe we're seeing that a bit more next year as well, where people are building a strong team, almost like a road team, where there's like domestic or whatever, to work with the main guys. Yeah,
and partly the overall as well. So the overall team result is quite a big deal.
Yeah.
So that's normally the top. It might have changed, but back when I was racing, it was the top 3 in each team per round. So you kind of want at least 4 people in each one. So I did a year or 2 years with Giant when we won the World Cup one year. And I was kind of the third, fourth counter. So Bart Brenchans was the main man on the team.
Okay.
And a guy, Roel Paulison. And my job was really to keep getting third.
Paulison, did he not get busted? Or am I thinking of someone else?
I think he had a little bit of a time off. Don't know all the details. But yeah, I was the third guy. There's 6 of us on the team, but I was number 3 in quite a lot of races, and that was my job.
That's good.
Get as high as I could up in the rankings.
Is there a nice little bonus for that at the end of the year?
Yeah, it didn't do bad.
Nino saying, tough day at the office. This is on his Instagram. Not really happy about my performance for SICK today. Started according to the plan. The race was hard, but the storm hit us. So they did intend to go out, by the sounds of it, super hard at the start, him and Foster.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out.
Yeah, like you say, I mean, you don't know what tyre choice people are running. People take some big risks. I've made, if I look at some of the races I did, sometimes I took big risks and got it right.
Yeah.
And then you think you're the one. And then sometimes you make some bad choices and you literally, you do not finish the race. So
yeah,
they might have rolled the dice, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, or it could just be the cold weather or actually his form is. We'll see next week, I think.
Exactly. Exciting times. We're straight into Nove Mesto next week. And then there's a little bit of a break actually before Andorra. I think Andorra is 6th and 7th of July. Then Leger, then Val de Sol, Lenzerheide, and then the new one at Snowshoe. You ever race there?
No, never, no.
No, don't know much about that.
It's good for them to get a race back. And this year they got, like I say, Courtney, the Americans got some momentum again. Courtney's, won the race.
Absolutely.
They got 2 in the top 10 for America. And I think, there was a time when there was some good American mountain bikers in men's and women's, and there was a real lull. I think it's good for the sport and the trade as well. So
same happened with Downhill, really. And yeah, the Americans are coming back strong now. So it's good to show their scene is working well. There's a lot of good races over in America.
Yeah.
Exciting to see. So we'll be back here next week. Thanks, Ollie, for that. Good chat.
Yeah, good to see you.
Back next week for that round 2 of the cross country, Nove Mesto. Don't forget, you can watch this on YouTube, of course. It's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so check it out. This is number 4 of the GMBN podcast.